Hello, Nick here. And I wanted to do a comparison on some portable and semi-portable, I guess they're all portable radios, these three. I just got this one in. Y'all, if you're into radios at all, you know what this stuff is, plus it's written in my description, the title anyway. But I had a couple of requests to compare this one to this one. And I decided to throw this one in because this is the one you should could be carrying. This one, well, you can compare anything to anything, but one of the reasons, and one of the only reasons you get this radio is because of the spectrum scope. It's very nice. Spoiler alert here, I'm going to give you my result. I mean, you guys are going to watch the video and see, make up your own mind, okay? But the receiver on this radio is better than the receiver on this radio. The receiver on this radio might be better. It's at least equal, might be better than the receiver on this radio. But this radio it fits in your shirt pocket. Everything is menu driven. You have to memorize all this function, the button function pushes in series to be able to do the crazy shit that this radio can do. It's an incredible radio. But so if he would have made it twice the size and put some kind of spectrum scope on it, I'd pay him $1,000 for it. It's an incredible radio. I think this cost me like $170. I mean, I bought it a year. It's been a while, but I mean, I bought it directly from Eastern Europe, wherever, so I had to wait 6 weeks to get it. But it was less than $200. This one is whatever they're currently selling for on eBay. $350 maybe, $380, $400, something like that. And then whatever, I've had this for many years. So whatever those currently sell for, so it's over $1,000. I think I paid $1,500 for mine, but that's when they were brand new. So they might sell for $1,200 or $1,300 now. I don't know, but it's easy for you to find out. So describe the setup a little bit before we zoom in and start twisting knobs. I have a Wellbrook antenna mounted outdoors running through a Stridesburg multi-coupler. And all three of these radios have a feed off of the Stridesburg, so I don't have to throw any switches. They're all getting the same signal off of the Stridesburg right now. And since they're all I'm going to set them up like currently in what I call desktop mode. So they've got the outdoor antennas hooked up. The Belka also is hooked up to this Bose speaker. The Belka does have the internal speaker on the back, okay, which works fine for portable use. I mean, if you just want to walk, if you're out walking the dog and you carry that around in your shirt pocket and you find a picnic table or a rock to sit on and it's nice and quiet with no RFI, you want to turn the radio on, it's awesome. It's really, really, really awesome. And it works awesome on its own in whip that they send you with the radio, the little tiny whip. Anyway, desktop mode. We got the Bose speaker, Wellbrook antenna. Desktop mode. Wellbrook antenna. Here's the stock whip on the high Z port, okay? I did some testing between the high Z and the 50 ohm port, and through my limit, I've only had the radio for about 3 or 4 days. And through my limited testing, maybe you're getting a fraction of an S meter point more by using the high Z over the 50 ohm with the stock whip, but that could have just been the chair I was sitting in and where it was in proximity to the light I was looking at it by, right? So who knows? It's not a huge difference. And then obviously this one is on its own internal battery pack with the Wellbrook. I've got them set up right now, 15.605, all three radios, pretty weak shortwave signal. It is... it's got to be like, we can zoom in on there's a clock. This one already has brownie points because there's a clock right there. It's 10:46 a.m. So let's zoom in. Let's start with something that we know right here. 6 kilohertz. Filter 2 is 6 kilohertz. So this has 3 filter positions, this has 3, and this has multiple, but they're all right now in their kind of like their normal AM listening mode, which is, that's another confusing thing, is the way they describe their filters, it's different from each other. Icom is the easiest. You push the button and watch what it says. Boom, 4 kilohertz. Boom, 9 kilohertz. Boom, 6 kilohertz. Well, you got to go into a menu on this one, and it's like, well, here's the high cut, here's the low cut, and it's like, well, what am I looking at? All right, what's the net? All right, and then the Belka is kind of the same way. It's like, well, here's the high cut, here's the low cut, and I'm like, I'm not an engineer, just tell me what the bandwidth is. Anyway, rant off. Listen. Another signal at 595. It's there, but it's very weak. I can hear it. I can't really make it out. I couldn't read it, but I'll try not to touch it. It's not going to be easy. Shit, I don't have anything I can stand it up against. The cables are trying to pull it back. Sometimes on these portables, if you just touch them, it kind of grounds them and they get better or worse reception. Now, before we make any comments or try to monkey with anything deeper, let's just quickly do the Belka just so that we can get a stock baseline. Notice my sensitivity is 20% down, so we're around 80%, which I believe the guys from Belka commented on one of my videos and said that's the maximum I should be running to get full effect of the AGC. If you go past that, you're blowing through the AGC. That's what they said. If you don't believe me, go back to my last Belka video and read their comment. This was the weakest one. And the other one was 65. It's there, very weak. Let's just do 65 quick. This was the strongest one. $5.95. Similar as Belka. You can barely make it out. Let's try this one. What was it? $5.95. Excuse me, I got a cold, coming off a cold. All right. At this megahertz range, all radios are performing almost identically. One comment I'm going to make about this, and this might become more evident as we get further into this test. This radio, at least in the last 3-4 days, has been very sensitive to the amount. See this RF gain up here, highlighted in green? And you can change it with this. All right. I almost wore this knob out, changing this between every signal I'm listening to or with every band range. It's like I'm constantly turning this. My initial tests were that in some meter ranges or band ranges, the Wellbrook was useless because it was just nothing but bleed through, 100% across the board. You'd either have to, even if you turn this down to like 2, you're still getting bleed through. So currently right here in this 15 megahertz range, it's working great. I was having poor results in the 11 megahertz range. So let's tune this. Go 12 megahertz. And then let's just see what's going on. That seems to be a new signal unless it's bleed through, because 12050 was always there for a long time and it stopped a couple months ago. Could be bleed through. 160 is over here, I think. That's a blowtorch. But look at all this shit going on here. And if you turn this, see how it changes. So I think that's too much RF. See, it's normal, it's mellowed out.
One thing they did, and I've never heard of that, but they gave
See that?
What they call,
now it's much better. Look at this. That's all bleed. See that? Bleed through. That's all bleed through. Down to 1, and it's just bleed through. So it's not everywhere, but it's in certain places. And you're basically getting the medium wave broadcast band right there. So let's turn this down, and just to make sure not every single radio doesn't do this, let's go check it out. So we were in the 12 megahertz, high 11 range. See, this one's easy to spin and get around. All right. 12160 is the blowtorch.
We're going to punish them and their families. America?
Both of those carriers were on the other radio. See, no freaky shit going on here. There might even be a signal there. I just can't hear it. Look at this. None of that freaky shit. Look at this. All right, let's see if the Belka's doing it, but I know it's not. We'll just go to 11,760 and see what's up. It's weird to tune the Belka. You gotta kind of deal with the fact that it doesn't have a keypad. Well, there's 12,160. Beautiful. 053.
Focus your attention on what you can do to survive. Priority.
That carrier, we're listening to that carrier, same as on the Icom. It was also on the Malahit, but that Malahit was showing all kinds of crazy shit. If you remember, the Malahit at 950 was playing AM broadcast. Nothing. So that means this is... Oh, I'm sorry. I'm not even on the radio. Sorry, guys. So the Malahit at 950, if you remember, was all screwed up. Nothing but medium wave bleed through. On the Wellbrook. Okay, 930, there's a signal. And then 760 is a weak one. Sounds real nice. Awesome radio, this. All right. So, up in the 15 megahertz range, man, all three of these radios were like champions. And it's like, all right, which one costs the less amount and which one has the nicest spectrum scope, and then do you whatever's important to you. All of a sudden now you tune down to 12 megahertz or 11 megahertz, and it's like, what the hell's going on with this radio? So, this is where I have determined that this radio likes to be is not on an external antenna. So, we take the Wellbrook off. We switch the antenna to the high Z. So, you got to go to radio, antenna, high Z. All right. I can't get close enough and show you all the shit that's going on here, but kind of extend this. And then I even brought in... All right, I'll try to show you this to try to help this Malahit as much as possible. Okay, I've got this wire. It's just a simple wire that came with some Sangean shortwave thing. It just goes over there that terminates like right around the corner of that doorpost up there. It's just a wire about, I don't know, 15 feet long, maybe 20. And you just clip it onto the end of the antenna. Watch the signals. So the signal does go up. So anyway, notice now all the AM bleed through is gone. RF gain, let's turn that up. Uh, 930 was a signal. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, 930 was a pretty strong signal. See that? We're getting it here, but not a lot because we're indoors on a whip, even though I got a wire clip to it. But at least all that bleed through shit is gone. Now, if I was to walk outside into the backyard, which is really not going to be easy to do, clipped all this stuff and a camera and a tripod, it's like, I've tried it. It does get better. The reception obviously gets better when you go outdoors. So, my observation with the Malahit, and I know you've only really checked 2 ranges here, 15 and 12, but if you're in a range where you're not getting bleed through, you can use an outdoor, external antenna, and it works well. You saw it. It was working as well as this. All of a sudden, I go down to 11 megahertz or whatever, and the radio freaks out. Totally freaks out. You got to take that external antenna off, run it on a whip, maybe try to add a little extra gain by clipping a wire to the end of the whip. Even when it was on the external antenna, I turned the RF gain down to like almost to 0. I turned it down to 2. We're still getting strong bleed through. Okay? We're still just totally just killing this radio. I've noticed that at other ranges as well. So it's hit and miss. It's not across the whole spectrum. And it might be different in different markets. I'm in Dallas, Texas. It could be different in California or New York. I don't know. All right? But that's the way it is here. When it's working, it works well. But like I said, though, you do have to monkey with that RF gain switch. And then the makers, the designers knew that this was true. All right, let's try to zoom in here. I read the manual. And so you've got a preamp. So you could add maybe whatever it is, 10 dB, whatever it is. You've got the RF gain, which you can tune. Then it's got these 2 buttons here. This bottom one here is for eliminating erroneous spikes in the spectrum scope. But I've tried it. It doesn't, okay? These 2 here do attenuate the signals. And if you read what those 2 descriptions say, which don't even mean English to me. I mean, it's like, what the hell is that shit? So, and they all have a mixer in the name. It's like, okay. So, but if you read in the manual, they supposedly do different things different ways. One seems to attenuate certain signals more than others, and neither of them, will totally eliminate the full bleed through. Well, let's check it out, okay? So let's go back to 50 ohm. Let's put it back on the Wellbrook. All right. Where's my lead here? Put the Wellbrook back in. All right. Let's go to like 950 and see what's going on. So this is freaking out. Don't know why. Maybe it's because there's just way too much RF gain. Now notice, we are on the Wellbrook. I switched it. Green light means 50 ohm. Blue light means high Z. So I did switch it. 950, we're not getting crazy ass bleed through anymore. I don't know what's different about it. 930 was the signal. And so apparently now the radio's working, but you saw it before, it was not. It was crazy bleed through. I don't know what's different. Did I touch anything? Disabled. Oh, I enabled this one. Now we're getting the crazy bleed through. right. Enabled. It mellowed the whole thing out. Sometimes that works better than others. Let's go to the other one. Let's see if we can even get 930. Yeah, no. So this one seems to be more effective. And it's probably just a matter of trial and error. And feeding in this as well. But we are on the Wellbrook. It's working now. But you had to go into the settings and try 3 or 4 different settings to get to a happy place. Slightly annoying, and it's not consistent across the board as to what you have to do all the time in every band. But it's working. All right, let's go to a weak signal and see what's going on. There's something there, but it's super, super, super weak. So, what the hell? Let's try it over here and see what's happening. $610. All right, let's try and bring the gain up. Does that help? No, but it shows another signal right next door, which the other radio doesn't show. Look at the waterfall. There's 2 signals right next to each other, according to this. See them? According to this, well, maybe they're in different ranges. Hold on, let me check that out. Well, let's tune this and see what happens. Maybe I was wrong. No, so we keep tuning down, see? And we're not getting any closer to that other signal. So that's like in some erroneous thing. See that? It stays there, but we can never get to it. Oh, and by touching this, I changed the width. You touch, see that? 50 hertz, 200 hertz, 192 technically. All right, let's see if the Icom does that. Yeah, there's no erroneous shit there. All right, let's go try some more of these buttons on the Malahit and see if we can make some of that erroneous shit go away. All right, so we know 610 is the weak signal, super weak. And you see the spike and the trail immediately to the left? Let's zoom in. See our new span? What does it say, 96? I can't read it. Yeah. But watch what happens when we try to tune down. See that? We can never get there. So let's just try to make it go away. Remember I told you that they had this one function called whatever that is? Enabled. Let's see what happened. Nope, the shit's still there. Can't get near it. Whatever it is, it's there. Let's try backing off the RF gain. Did that help? No. Let's try this other one here. So that means all 3 of these are enabled now. It's still there. Okay, so This thing does has some weird ghosts. Seems to work good though. I mean, okay, you got to screw with it. Okay, you got to F with it. And that's another thing. Sometimes you push these buttons and nothing happens. It's real aggravating. And you tend to want to push harder. That's just human nature. No, the manual actually just says push, hold it longer. There you go. So let's turn that off, turn that off. Enabled, we'll leave that one on. RF gain, maybe bump that a slight bit. Okay. What time is it? 11:12. No, so, all right. Let's regroup a little bit here. Back up. All right. Awesome. Kind of awesome. This thing, as small as it is, it can handle that Wellbrook like no problem at all. It takes it in like a champ, no problem. And it works every bit of it, all right? Like they used to say in the old racing days, it's got 4 speeds, uses them all. Yep, the Belka ain't scared. All right, Malahit or whatever this thing's called. Yeah, it's a Malahit. DSP2. Yeah, it gets scared sometimes. You saw it. It was freaking out, blowing medium wave broadcasts through the whole spectrum. Then I unhooked the antenna, screwed with the other antenna, flipped it back to the other antenna, and all of a sudden it's gone. Why? Well, we know that some of those buttons you have to push, and it's experimental to limit some of the, whatever you call it, bleed through or erroneous signals or whatever. But you don't know where that's going to be all the time. So you're constantly changing the settings to live with this and make it perform good. But when it's performing good, it's pretty good. That one's constant, always works great. That one always works great too. It's just so goddamn small. But that's the significance of it. That's why people want it, because it's so small. And it's got a speaker. It's got its own speaker. And it works great on the whip. This thing works great on its whip as this does on its whip. All right? So if you're, like I said, you're out just walking around outside and you see a rock to sit on and you're tired, just sit down, flip this thing out, start DXing. You'll have a good time. I guarantee it. Let's try a couple other ranges, because this is mostly about the DSP2. So let's try a couple other ranges just to see what's going on with it. All right, let's go down. So let's go to 17. Because like I said, it's only 10:30, 10:45 in the morning. That's 11:15, whatever. So we'll go up to... See, it's another thing. Look, it's showing 3 freaking spikes right there. And that, yeah, it's sketchy. So this isn't finding anything up here. We're on the Wellbrook. And there's no quick mute on this. You just got to spin this for 2 hours to get it to go down. All right, let's try and find, I don't know. Let's see if I can find that weak beacon. Or let's try and find the weak beacon on a radio that I know can get it, if it's available. F input 28.209 CW. Okay, you can hear it. Let's put the, what do you call it, preamp on. Okay, so you can hear it. All right. 28.209. That's another thing about the Belka is if you even just bump this turns. Now you can lock this. I forgot which button you have to push to hold, but you can lock it. So, okay, volume. No preamp on this. It's coming in as good as this one. Okay? My iPhone microphone that I'm using for a camera might not be doing this justice for you guys and gals, but I can hear it. 2 hours of spinning, getting back up to the volume. Let's go 28. Mode CW. And that's another thing is it doesn't pick it up right away. See that? Mode CW, then you got to turn that one off, but it still says that one's on. And it's like, come on, make up your, so I think you might have to choose upper or lower. You can't just do CW by itself. So CWU. All right, let's go to 209. Filters normal for CW. All right, we're on the Wellbrook. Let's add the... I really can't hear it. Maybe my brain is faking me into thinking I'm hearing it. Let's try monkey with some of those settings, okay? Because maybe some of those settings are attenuating the signal too much. So we'll turn the preamp off. We'll disable this, okay? We'll turn the RF gain up. maybe, possibly, I might be hearing something, but it could just be my imagination. Let's change the filter to narrow. All right, I think I can hear it. Just listen. Let's try and add the preamp. All right, so, I mean, if you got to work that hard to think you're hearing it, and you got to turn this for, oh, that's another thing, is you got to spin it around back to where you were. All right, so if you got to work that hard just to fake yourself into thinking you're hearing it, guess what? You're really not hearing it. This one, got it. This one, got it. Oh, let's try a little, see if we can get anybody on 20-meter side, just for the hams out there so they know that this, because they're always like, well, how does it work in sideband? I don't know. Let's find out. 14,300 kilohertz. Mode. Upper sideband. Disabled. Gain. Filter normal.
I understand no traffic. Last time I was listening to the net, you were probably on the mend, not feeling great. How you doing today? Over.
On frequency, sounds good. Let's try.
Good. I hope that continues for you, my friend. And thanks for keying up and saying hello. You have a good one.
Trenton Military. We got the RF gain way up. It's not overloading, but the preamp is bringing in a little more noise. Now, interesting. Notice there don't seem to be a lot of erroneous spikes here, but maybe that's just because the gain isn't enough. But, well, they went away. So there were some. I don't know. And those are just noise sometimes. They sound about the same. Last thing to check for all you European listeners out there, both of you, you're probably interested in long wave. Because in the United States, the only thing we can get if we're lucky is the odd NDB here in the United States. But I know they still have long wave, at least some places in Europe. So let's go to the strongest beacon I got here in the United States, or at least the one I get here in Dallas. 0.365 megahertz. And we'll put it on AM. AM, come on, baby. AM, and we'll put the filter on narrow. And then we crank the volume up for 2 hours till we get there. Hear the bleed through? And no beacon. So, let's drop the gain. Let's hit this one, which was magic. See that? I can hear the beacon now, but I'm also getting some more extraneous things, and I got medium wave bleed. I assume it's medium wave. You can hear the voice? Not supposed to be there. Let's try and make that guy go away. All right, so I got all three of those things that I don't know what the hell they are. All of them are enabled. There's still, see, hear that little buzzing in the background? That's still bleed through. All right. Let's come over here. See, the radio's even telling us overload. So what we do is attenuate. See the ATT? Look at this bitch. Sorry for my language, even though I usually not. Look at this guy. She's running. All right, let's see how the Belka does. Memory. Ooh, look at that. 365. Memory number 1. Volume. Like a champion racehorse. Oops. All right. So, end of the day, bad hombre. Bad hombre. Kind of a bad hombre sometimes. You just got to mess with it, which is a pain in the butt, okay? Constantly changing those settings to get rid of the bleed through. If you do it on the whip, if you do it on the whip, obviously you're not going to get bleed through, but you're not going to get nearly as much gain as you're going to get off of an outdoors, external antenna, especially a Wellbrook, a nice one that limits noise. If I didn't put this on an outdoor long wire antenna, I don't know how this receiver would handle that. These other receivers handle that out. I have an end-fed outdoor wire, and these other ones handle it fine. I don't know how this one would handle it. All right, maybe that'll be video for somebody you guys to put together. Robert, hint, hint. Come on, baby, step up, Robert. So anyway, is this a good radio? Yeah, kinda. You got to fiddle with it. You can't just turn it on and listen to it. You constantly, especially if you put an external antenna on it, you constantly hitting those buttons. And if you're only running a whip, obviously you're going to be way down on your gain. Okay, so outdoors, yeah. So if you go out to quiet places, like I was telling you with the Belka, if you're out on a walk and you get to a nice quiet place with not a lot of RFI, this will be a good time because you got the spectrum scope. You shouldn't have erroneous spikes, which on a spectrum scope, if you've got a lot of erroneous spikes, it's almost like not why even have a spectrum scope, right? The little boy that cried wolf, right? Oh, here's a signal. Oh, no, it's not. So anyway, is this thing worth $400? I don't know. Am I sorry I bought it? I don't know. Maybe. Am I sorry I bought this? Absolutely not. This? Absolutely not. Any of these other radios back here? Absolutely not. Am I sorry I bought this? I don't know yet. Maybe. I think I need to take it outdoors and just kind of experiment with it. Kind of like, in my mind, a mobile radio was never really designed to be a base station, right? It's designed to be used on the go, mobily, moving. So it should be running off of a whip antenna, its own internal antenna. And in that respect, yeah, it seems to work okay. It does. It absolutely does work okay. So, yeah, but if you could, learn to manage all those different buttons in all that kind of stuff, and to be able to get as much gain as you can without getting bleed through. Yeah. And we didn't even go into VHF yet. So, that's a whole nother animal. But anyway, I hope this was at least informative, and appreciate you guys hanging out. And I'll see you in the next one.